So I've been wanting to make a video about an experience that I had a little over a week ago. And last night I considered making a video, but it was late and I was trying to get to sleep. So I'm taking a pause out of my day to kind of like jumble it all together. So I had this opportunity to go to Thailand and be with my teachers, which would have cost me like all of my savings, and it would have been a major like leap and risk, and it would have been such an amazing experience, and it would have been a once in a lifetime thing. And it was causing me like so much anxiety. I had like so much like fear because there was so much like room for growth, so many different things that I could have grown from having took this trip. I would have been facing so many fears, and there was so much on the table, and I was losing sleep over it. I was really distracted, and I kept like going to make the decision, and then second guessing it, and then about to jump all in, and then second guessing it again. And there was a lot of factors like underneath it all that played into that. And one of them was that I could take that money that I would be spending on this trip and put it into my business and my vision. Or another thing was that had come up was that my living situation was not in a very like stable situation. There was a lot going on with my roommate and stuff, and so I have 2 fur babies, and I would have left them behind also. And the situation just wasn't sitting right with me. Like there was something underneath it in my gut that was saying like, Tanya, you should really think about this. But I really wanted to just like jump in, and so I've had this like wonderful, amazing opportunity to like learn and grow with these people in this class that I took for 6 weeks, and it was such a beautiful, amazing experience. And every week I sat down and I took massive notes, and I mean like massive notes, where I wrote down all this stuff and all this information, and I was meditating and journaling every night, which I still am, and measuring my behavior every day, and just like my goals every day. And while I was sleeping the night before I finally made my final decision, I had a dream where one of my classmates, who I would have been going on this trip with, she was asking me questions that my teacher had given to us as a lesson. Basically, she was in my sleep feeding me information that my teacher had taught me in my class that I had not even thought of while I was awake. And I've been doing a lot of like reprogramming before going to sleep, lots of meditations that have to do with like reprogramming before I go to sleep, which is like there's like 30 to 60 minutes before you go to bed is like the perfect time to start reprogramming your mind. And 30 to 60 minutes after you wake up, that's when the subconscious is the most like susceptible to being reprogrammed. And in my sleep, my friend was asking me, if you knew what would you know? If it mattered, what would matter? What would it be? You know, what was the other one? If you had a preference, what would your preference be? You know? And this was something that my teacher had taught us in the class, that, you know, instead of always saying, I don't know, or it doesn't matter, to mind our language and ask ourselves, if it mattered, what would it be? You know, if I did know, what would I know? If I did have a preference, what would it be? And in my sleep, I realized that if it mattered, it would be carrying out my vision and putting all of my energy and my time and my investments into carrying out my vision, being there for the still suffering alcoholic and addict, you know, making a difference, making an impact, and just trusting God, trusting the process. Now, last night, yesterday, when I woke up, my power was out. And I have been learning to be relentlessly solution focused. And, you know, I immediately started like trying to figure out like where I could go to like charge my stuff and, you know, use my laptop and things like that. And when I came home, or while I was out at my friend's house, my roommate called me, or I got a hold of my roommate, and he had been in a car accident. And basically he was letting me know that he was no longer going to be living with me anymore. And this was something that was brought up several days ago. You know, there's just been different circumstances that have led up to this point, but, you know, he asked me before leaving yesterday, because he came here, you know, to see me face to face, to let me know that he wasn't going to be living here anymore, but that he would, you know, be paying a portion of the rent still, until I figured out what it is that I'm doing. And he asked me if I was gonna be okay, considering the fact that like all the power out and it was completely dark. And I was able to like tell him like, yes, I will be fine. And usually in circumstances like these, you know, the old Tanya would be like freaking out just to be like in the dark alone. I would be freaking out. You know, I spoke to my mom today and I told her the situation, and she's like, so what are you gonna do? And it's like, I don't know. I really don't know. But in my life, like leading up to this point, like I've come to terms with the fact that so many things since I've been in recovery have literally happened in my life where I've completely just turned it over and said, you know, I have no idea what's going on, but I trust you. And when I really think back to like everything that's ever happened in my life, you know, everything leading up to this point, like no matter what I've went through, like I've always been okay. And you know, something that my teacher taught me is like, I can't connect the dots going forward, but I can connect them going backwards. And so, I have no idea what's going on. And that whole decision about me going to Thailand was really hard decision for me to make. Granted, the fact that I had just gotten my passport, this is something I've really wanted for a very long time, and coming to terms with that decision was very hard for me to make. However, like, something was not sitting right with me, and I'm really, glad that I made the decision that I did, and I'm trusting the fact that, I will go to Thailand eventually, and I will see the world, and I will travel, and that everything is going to be okay. Like, no matter what, as long as I do the footwork and I keep putting one foot in front of the other, because faith without works is dead. So, like, I have to have faith, and then I have to, like, do the footwork and put in the work. And it's a really, like, peaceful place to be in, just to, like, be in a situation and say, like, it's gonna be okay. Like, I'm gonna be okay. To not have that codependency feeling like someone needs to be here with me in the dark when the power is out, and just being able to, like, sit with myself and be, like, relentlessly solution focused, and seeing, like, okay, not looking at what's the problem, and, like, looking at the problems that are happening, but instead looking, like, what's the solution? What are all of the solutions? What is it that I need to do? Because I can only control the controllables, right? Like, so one of the examples that was given in one of my classes was, like, when an athlete is in the game, like, they can't control the crowd, they can't control, the game, they can't control the opponent, they can't control the weather, but they can control themselves and how they perform. And so, that athlete mentality, like, I can only control myself and how I perform and how I show up to life every single day and what I give to it. I can't control everything else going on outside of me. And it's a very beautiful state to be in, to also be able to, like, acknowledge, like, it's okay if it happens and it's okay if it doesn't. And that ultimately, like, I made the decision, a little over a year ago to, turn my life over to the God of my understanding. And every single day, I basically, try to practice and remind myself, like, your will, not mine, and when I turn my will over and I give it to the God of my understanding, everything seems to kind of just roll a lot more smoothly. I'm a very controlling person by nature, from my conditioning being brought up, and I want to, like, be in control of everything naturally. That's just who I am. Like, I want to be in control, very, like, territorial. I want everything to, like, go my way. I want, I try to, like, be in charge and, like, all these things. And I'm learning and practicing every day to, like, turn that over. If I can notice that I'm doing it, if I can notice that I'm trying to be, like, in control of a situation or a circumstance or whatever it may be, to completely just, like, let it go and say, okay, like, Tanya, we're not in control of this. We're not in charge of this. We're not the boss, and just, like, let it go. And so, I'm going through a lot right now. Like, my family, we, there's some personal things that are going on in my life. I'm not going to get into major detail about it, but there's some personal things that are going on in my life that are very, very, very scary. And somebody that I love um, is going through a really tough time right now. Like somebody that I love very, very, very much. And, you know, they're sick, and it's very hard because, you know, I have so much to make up to this person, so much time to make up and things like that. And I have had a cold now for like going over 2 weeks. I'm like ready to go to the doctors to get antibiotics because, you know, it's a little ridiculous. But I'm just trusting the process and like giving myself permission to feel these things now, you know, like that was another major part of my decision of not going to Thailand is, you know, that someone in my family is like, you know, sick and going through treatments and stuff. And like I need to be here to support my family and also like make the most out of like the time that I have right now and give myself permission to feel adventure and feel love and feel happiness and feel integrity like right now. And so like my job is to just show up as the best version of myself every day that I possibly can. And it's really hard because I'm battling a lot of things like within myself, and I'm like learning so much, and there's like so much going on, and I'm trying so hard to keep up, but it's okay. Like, it's okay. And to be in a place where literally all of this stuff is going on and being able to say, I'm going to be okay. What is the solution and how do I show up my very best today is like golden. And I might not get it right. I might not get it right. I might not perform the way that I feel like I should be, or I might forget some things, or you know, whatever. But as long as I continue to do my very best every single day and show up my best in that day, I can go to sleep knowing that I am making progress. And that's really ultimately what matters the most, is that I continue to make progress, because eventually the more that I continue to try and try and try again, because there's like this box, right? And I might think that like I'm trapped in this box and I can't get out, and no matter, but there is a glass ceiling, and I just have to keep pushing and pushing and pushing until I break through that glass ceiling. And so much has just like been changing with like reprogramming and all of the things that I'm learning. Just the way that I think is starting to completely shift. And I've been learning like so much. I am a student of life for life. And I will continue to do that, you know. And it's not easy. Like I still carry a lot of heartache from the breakup that I just recently went through. And I'm not going to sit here and say that like I'm not in pain, because I am. And some days I am depressed and I don't feel like getting out of bed, you know? And it's been really hard. Like it is really, really, really hard when you love someone as much as I loved this person. And it just goes to show like how much areas of growth that I have to like work on and strive towards. Because ultimately, like, my main thing is to carry the message. And I noticed when I was in that relationship that it was keeping me from performing at my very best. And there was a lot that was going on that, you know, it wasn't the healthiest situation for me, and I needed to give this person an ultimatum, because like my vision and my aim to make a difference in this world and help to impact and save people's lives was ultimately more important to me than being in a relationship with someone who didn't support me in that vision and didn't love me enough to like fully be present and give the relationship their 100%. And, that's just something that I have to like come to accept and let go of and love them unconditionally anyways. And it's very, very, very hard to do. I have had thoughts of, like getting revenge and like being spiteful and all of these things. And it's took a lot of like prayer and meditation to fully like switch that off and come up from a place of like love and forgiveness and understanding and compassion and non-attachment and all of these different things that I've been practicing in my life on a daily basis. So so much is going on right now, and I just really wanted to like take the time to pause and share this out with you guys. There's so much going on, but man, we grow through it, right? Like we go through it, we grow through it. So whatever's gonna happen is going to happen, and I just control the controllables and do my very best every single day. And it's gonna be okay. Hey. Oh my gosh, I look crazy right now, right? Like I look really crazy right now. But here's the thing, like I am practicing the fact that I was born good enough and trying to really understand like loving myself as I am, and truly like being good to my body and becoming the healthiest version of me, and not like something that I've been really addicted to is tanning, and I'm really like practicing because I haven't been tanning for several months now, and trying to get to a point of loving the skin that I'm in as it is, and basically coming as I am and working not so much on making myself pretty on the outside as making myself pretty on the inside, and realizing that like as long as I am showing up, my very best every single day, being confident in the fact that like I'm beautiful as I am, and just fully like stepping into the best version of myself and like owning my worth and who I am without a mask. Now I love dressing up. I'm not gonna say like I'm not gonna stop like dressing up and doing my makeup, but like like I look a bit crazy right now, and this is gonna be like out on display for everyone to see. But like I was born good enough. The chances of me being born is like 400 trillion to 1 or something like that, and I'm one of a kind. There's only one person who has my fingerprints and has had my experiences and shares my story. So I'm really learning like to step into that version of myself, that like confident version of myself who loves myself. So it's definitely a journey, but yes, one day at a time. Everything will be okay. Hey. All right, that's it. I love you guys.